We're starting day 2 off with Romanian deadlifts. What you want to do here is sit your butt back, keeping your back straight, and you want to move your body down so that you feel the stretch in the hamstrings. This is primarily a lower body exercise. So your hamstrings, your glutes, those are the muscles that are going to be pushing your body back up as you thrust your hips forward on the way up. You can see here that I'm getting the dumbbells about halfway between my knees and my feet. And that's just as low as I can go. I feel a pretty big stretch in the hamstrings there, so I don't really want to go much more than that. You want to go low enough that you feel the stretch and squeeze the hamstrings against that stretch to get back up. If you have limited mobility, you might only be able to go down to your knees or even less, and that's totally fine. If you start feeling your lower back too much during this exercise, it means you really got to focus on bracing the abs and actually holding the abs as tight as you can. And I don't mean sucking your stomach in, I mean actually bracing. Pretend someone's going to kick you right in the gut. What are you going to do? You're going to squeeze and hold. I want you to squeeze and hold for every rep there. You can breathe at the very top of the movement or even slowly on the way down. You definitely want to take your breath between every rep. Alright, your second set should be a little more smooth, and just focus on keeping that straight back. Again, you don't want to feel any lower back pain. If you've even tried bracing your abs and you still feel your lower back, take a look at how you're doing it in the mirror. Your back should be pretty straight, like mine is right there, and you're bending over. You're not rounding your lower back, you're keeping everything straight. If doing all of that still bothers your lower back, what you're going to do is just skip this exercise and you're going to reach out to someone at Clearcut Fitness for some one-on-one help to get you doing it properly. It could be something like your core or your glutes are not working properly or strong enough, and we got to focus on those with you until you can properly do a Romanian deadlift. That's already 2 sets down, 1 more to go. A minute goes by quicker than you think usually, so just focus on all the right cues, and we're just pumping out the third and final set of this exercise. Just keep in mind, this is the beginner dumbbell program, so you'll still definitely feel this workout by the end of it, but it's not going to be something super intense and super tough for you to get through. We're just doing one exercise per movement pattern, per muscle group, per workout. Building this foundation of strength is crazy important to helping you progress, getting stronger, pushing more weight, burning more energy, getting more fit. Alright, so once again here, Romanian deadlifts, the same cues, right? Straight back, brace the abs. You want a slight bend in your knees. If you're keeping your legs completely straight, it's going to promote using your lower back a little more, which is something we really don't want. We want to keep the core and the lower back, that whole area, nice and stable and not moving, and we want to use the hamstrings and the glutes to bend over and actually move at those joints. So you'll see that my hips are the joint that's moving and bending, and my knees are also moving and bending. We want there to be a straight line of pull, which means that look at that dumbbell, look at that path of the dumbbells. It's going vertical. The dumbbells are not going too far forward, and they're also not too far backwards either. Nice and balanced mid-foot weight. Next up, we've got push-ups, and I'm just going to show you here what we don't want you to do. Here you'll see that my hips are too high, and I'm cranking my head and my neck down. We don't want any of that stuff. Here's another one where your hips are sinking, and you're effectively using your lower back and your core to pull yourself back up. Doing the exercise like that is almost completely pointless. It means that you're not using the right muscles that we're trying to work at all. So if this exercise is too hard to do from the floor, you have two options. You can do them on an incline or an elevated platform, so maybe a few stairs up and you're doing push-ups off the stairs, or you can even do them up against a wall, and that makes them quite easy. Here, you'll see how we actually want you to do a push-up effectively. Squeezing the glutes so that my body is basically a straight plank, and then my elbows come down and out to the side, and I'm getting a full range of motion. My chest is almost hitting the ground. I think my hat hits first, but that's fine. As long as I'm getting about a 90-degree angle bend in my elbows, that is what we're looking for to effectively work the chest, the triceps, and the shoulders, as well as your abs. The second that you let go of your abs is when you'll start to see your hips sink or your hips rise too much, like I showed you in the example before the set started. So again, here is an example of how we would do it incline. Here I'm using the power rack and I set the barbell up a little bit higher. This makes it a little bit easier. However, it's still susceptible to the exact same mistakes. If you're not squeezing your abs and a straight plank, then you're going to get lazy and your hips are going to sag and you're going to cheat the range of motion, which means that you're only working your muscles just a little bit. And you're also increasing the risk of tweaking something and getting injured. And as usual, tempo is very important here. You'll see that I'm controlling the weight on the way down. I'm not ripping down as fast as I can just to bounce myself back up using momentum. And again, here's examples of what we don't want. It's exaggerated, but I do see this so often. That is not a push-up. We want to work the right muscles. If it becomes too hard, you can raise the bar even higher and make it more suitable to your current strength level. Every single week or so, you should be getting a little bit stronger, so you should be able to move that bar closer and closer to the ground each time. So this set here is doing push-ups with the dumbbells, and what we're actually doing is just increasing the range of motion by a little bit because the dumbbells sit a few inches up above off the ground, and that means that your body can sink lower to the ground. So it effectively makes it harder by increasing the range of motion. You do not have to do this. This is just another option. If you're doing this beginner program and you are stronger than doing regular push-ups from the ground, this is your next option. However, you do want to be careful with those. If you have any sort of shoulder pain or history of shoulder impingement, increasing the range of motion and getting your elbows further back than 90 degrees can cause irritation with some people. So if that's the case, do not do that variation at all. Go back to regular old push-ups or even cut the exercise and reach out to one of us at Clear Cut Fitness so we can provide you with a program that's customized for your abilities. And we take time to assess whatever issue you may have. So not only do we customize the program for your current abilities to progress and improve, but also we look at the underlying issue. And if there's any exercises or stretches we can throw in the program to actually eliminate your pain or eliminate your poor movement pattern to help fix your issue and get you doing push-ups or whatever exercise you're trying to do. Pain-free movement is the name of the game. Alright, this is our third and final set here. I'm just showing the dumbbell grip push-up example again, but it doesn't matter which variation you do. Pick one of the three. This beginner program is just about getting the muscles working, burning some energy, getting familiar with the proper movement patterns. So this is the pressing movement pattern. This is the push. Again, this gets the chest, the shoulders, the triceps, and the core going. If 10 to 15 reps is too hard, you can break these down into smaller sets of less reps. This is a video that caps out at 15 reps. I don't know exactly what you can do, but the goal is to get there eventually. 15 reps is no small feat, so again, like I said, you can break these down into smaller sets. Maybe 5 sets of 5 reps or something like that. This next exercise is our first rowing exercise or pulling exercise of the day. It mostly works your back muscles, so your lats, your rhomboids, rotator cuff. It's also going to work your core, your obliques on the side because it's single-sided, which means that you have to stabilize the other side a little bit more to do the movement properly. So you want a straight back here. As you're doing these, your torso should not be moving. The only thing that should be moving is your arm and bending at the elbow and bending at the shoulder joint. That is it. If you feel your lower back, then it means you're cheating and you're twisting with your lower back to get the weight up. That is not the point of this exercise. We want to be working the back muscles. We want a nice, balanced, overall strong body. So we want to work everything together effectively. So, once again, now we're getting into it, guys. Get in your split stance. We're going for between 10 and 15 reps each side. You can see my full range of motion here. I'm resting my body and my arm onto my front leg, and I'm rowing backwards. I'm not shrugging up using my traps, using my neck muscles. None of that is happening. I'm rowing back, and if anything, up a little bit. Now we're going to switch sides. I'm taking a couple seconds break in between. It's totally fine. Usually like to take about 10 seconds between sides just to take a couple deep breaths and focus again. If you don't, doing the opposite side might actually be a little bit harder because you've already gassed out one side and gassed out your system a little bit. So like I said, the second side or your opposite side will usually be a little bit harder, so just focus a little bit more and don't worry if it's actually feeling a little harder. Same rules apply here. Make sure the elbow is going high enough, but not too high that you're cranking your shoulders. Take the rest of this minute to focus on how you feel and really get those cues going in your head. Stable back, not rotating. Do not use your lower back to whip the weight up. Nice and controlled, constant tempo. A little bit slower on the way down, and nice and strong on the way up. Again, not using your traps too much, using your mid back to just row that weight up and actually feel it. Okay, this is our third and final set here. Same rules apply. Get your stable base, feet wide apart, nice tight core so that your lower back does not take over during this movement. Focus on breathing, exhaling when you're on the way up. You always want to exhale when you're exerting the most force, which is when you're trying to squeeze that muscle to bring the weight up. And again, 10 to 15 reps each side. Do whatever you can. And if you catch yourself doing crappy reps, which is kind of hard to catch on your own, but you might be able to feel it, then just cut the set or focus a little bit harder on doing the right form. Usually, bad form starts to happen as you start to get tired. We don't want that. We want to work the right muscles so that we set you up for a solid base of strength for future, more difficult workouts. Next up, we've got step-ups. Now first, this is what we don't want to see. Here, I'm using both feet to squat up, where I only have half of my leg bent before I even get my other one onto the step, and then I squat them up together. I also don't want to see this, where you're basically bouncing up and down to get up. Step-ups should be performed pretty strictly, and there's different ways to do it. Now, I'm not going to show you the very strict way. It's pretty hard for beginners and intermediate people as well. And the reps take a lot of time, so we're just going to go over the regular way to do it. You put your full foot on the step. We want a step that's about the same height as your knee, but if you're just starting out, you can start off with a shorter step until you get stronger or more comfortable. And here I'm also controlling myself on the way down. That's because we still want to work the muscle on the way down. We don't want to just hop down and then land on our joints. We want to absorb the tension, slow it down with the muscles. And here I'm going to switch sides, and you notice how I adjust my foot so that I get my full foot on the step. The leg that's working the most to step yourself up, the left foot, is completely on. And I'm going slower on the way down so I can make sure I feel tension on the way down as well. Now it's pretty hard. You got to trust yourself and you really got to squeeze your quads. Now do your best to not push off with the bottom foot. It's almost like doing a calf raise if you cheat, where you kind of bounce off with your bottom foot. So I'm trying pretty hard here to minimize any sort of cheating from my bottom leg. We want everything as much as possible coming from that front leg. Now again, if you pay attention to those crappy reps that I demonstrated in the first rest period that we don't want to do, you'll notice how it's not a full rep. It's like I do a little isometric rep or halfway up, and then my other leg steps on, and then I squat up. That's kind of cheating because it takes away from a lot of the work from the one leg. And same thing here, I'm going way too fast. I'm bouncing off the ground. I'm almost kind of jumping up with both feet and bouncing and using momentum. That is not what we want here. This isn't a race. Now this next set, I'm going to show you a slightly more intermediate version of this exercise. What you're going to do here is actually stomp your foot down onto the step to help propel yourself up. What you're doing is already accelerating the movement and already getting the muscles working so that you have a little bit of momentum to get yourself up. However, that's not bad momentum. It's not cheating momentum like bouncing your foot and your calves off of the ground at the bottom. This momentum is from the lead leg. So it's just accelerating through, and once you hit the resistance of the actual step, it's going to help you propel yourself up. It's also better for building strength because it shows how much you have to power through to get your body up, and so you don't lose any of that initial momentum. This is optional. Like I said, it's just the next level up. It helps build a little more athleticism, a little more strength, but it's also harder. You gotta make sure you follow through and you get that stomp down. You don't stop the momentum when you stomp. You follow through and keep pushing the leg down as your body goes up. Next up, we've got plank intervals. The way we're going to do this is 10 seconds on and 10 seconds off. That means that we're planking for 10 seconds and then we're resting for 10 seconds, and we're doing that 6 times over. Now you might be thinking, oh, why only 10 seconds on? Isn't that too short? Is that even going to do anything for me? Well, a lot of the research actually shows that holding planks for longer than 10 to 20 seconds actually decreases the amount of oxygen that goes into the abs, allowing it to fire harder. So what happens over time is that the abs work less and less, and then your other muscle groups take over. That is not the point of a plank. The plank is to keep everything stable and tight, using the full body together, but your core, your abs, are the actual bridge of this exercise. So essentially, by actually doing 6 sets of 10 seconds, we have a whole minute of a plank where your abs are working hard. Alright, here we go, guys. First set, get into the plank position, 10 seconds. Nice straight body, keeping my elbows directly underneath my shoulders. My neck, my back, and my glutes are all in line. There you go. That's 10 seconds, and now take a 10-second break. 3, 2, 1, let's go. In order to make it a little bit more challenging, you can actually dig your toes into the ground, dig your elbows into the ground, and that's going to help activate the abs even more. Three, 2, 1, let's go. Round 3, keep that same form. I don't want to see those hips sagging or coming too high up. No cheating. It's all about getting the abs and bracing hard here. You're already halfway through this. You got 3 more sets of 10 seconds to go. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Now don't forget to breathe here as well. Oftentimes beginners want to just hold their breath as they're keeping everything tight, but in this case you want to breathe. Three, 2, 1, let's do it. Alright, this is set 5 out of 6. Keep squeezing everything hard. It's okay if you shake a little bit as well. Don't worry, just keep working. 1 final set to go. You got this, everyone. 3, 2, 1, go. It's okay if you're shaking. Keep everything tight. Take a couple deep breaths, and you are done.